people say 5 months ago Liquid was involved in a game and a team blew a 5-minute lead, people would go, oh, that's just classic Liquid. No, it was Liquid on the other side of the fence that time. And I think for anyone who's followed the scene for quite a while, it was just kind of neat to see Liquid get one over in that situation.
Well, I think the big thing to note as we start off with the defenses here from CLG is they are going to go Zen Ana right outside of the gate. Zen Ana can be very good on Gibraltar by playing a glass or by playing on catwalk and with the long sight ranges. But as we can see, it's very risky. If you do lose one fight on defense, more than likely you're not going to have enough time to get back to the cart, or you're not going to have good positioning to take high ground.
Flame, any final thoughts?
No, I mean, I'm just interested to see how Liquid's offense is. It was really shaky yesterday. I'm surprised they picked this map, given how rough it was for them, but you never know.
Well, they're coming back in, and Uber, ID on the Widowmaker once more, going to be looking for those all-important early picks to start this game off on the right foot.
Yeah, note that Dahang's not playing Ana here. He's actually playing as Zenyatta, so he needs to be very, very careful. He is super vulnerable against a Widowmaker, so it makes sense that he sits a long way back. He's actually sitting inside the hangar still at this stage, so just choosing his timing to come out as carefully as he can. Of course, like Mikado, sorry, is playing the Zenyatta. Both of them are, so that's fine. We're going to pause anyway. But yeah, so we need to see him stay pretty darn safe. I'm just so interested to see defensive Zenyatta on this map. It always feels so funny because you can do so much with a Nana here.
It is interesting because you're right, you can do a lot with the Nano Boost, but Zenyatta, just with Discord Orbs alone, is still very powerful at dealing with some of the dive that you end up dealing with, particularly if you can get it on Winston and get immediately fall through. If you can remove a Winston from a fight immediately, the odds of winning that fight shift very much in your favor.
Absolutely. I mean, it's more that as well. Like if you're playing defensive in Zenyatta, you have to break sight lines to stay alive, and your Discord orb is going to get turned off as well. So you can't always guarantee that's going to be super efficient for you when you're desperately trying to stay alive, when ID's on that Widowmaker, and if you have sight lines, you're probably going to get bopped.
Well, they're running both. I just want to throw that out there.
It's worth noting on the Widowmaker that I think ID was shifting back the swap off. ID, it feels like, only really wants to stay on the Widowmaker if he either has momentum from pickoffs or teams are holding really far up. Because the power of the Widowmaker in the opening on Gibraltar is that if you have a rogue-style defense come at you, maybe you get a free shot onto a Tracer or so otherwise
blind.
early on.
Blind. No, I wouldn't even have made that point if I'd seen like Shake's playing at her. I'm so mad.
So it is the job of the soldier and Waffle-tastic to make sure that they keep the Zen Ana alive with the healing station, and Shake and Mikado have to work together a lot and to take high ground to make sure they don't get picked. If I was ID, even though I don't feel like he did a whole lot on Widow yesterday when he played on offense, this is the time to actually use it, because you have an opportunity to get a headshot on Shake or Mikado to open a pick on this game. I would actually like to see him stay on it.
Yeah, conceptually, just the fact that there's no Lucio, everyone's running a little bit slower, so headshots are definitely a little bit easier. We might get a chance to see the dreaded Nano Zenyatta.
Oh god.
That would truly be a terror to have that bloodthirsty of a support on the field. But as we see, ID is going to be swapping off, going to the 76. No longer wants to look for pickoffs now that the payload has gone up this far.
Yeah, it's to punish that aggressive positioning for defensive teams, really. Once he sees that everyone's put so far back, he knows he's really going to struggle actually cleaning up, and it's a D.Va as well, so he's just going to get harassed. I like the change. He's still going to get harassed out by the D.Va, and Hydration even wants to get towards him. That's why Rafa jumps onto the high ground. That's a pretty nice boost actually to knock Hydration down, and Shatter finds Waffle, so the Genshin battle being won so far out by Liquid.
Liquid with a good beginning here. Shatter already at 41%. He gets a dive right to the back, going directly on the Shake, but gets slapped. Shake surviving with the slimmest of margins, and yet with Hydration falling, it might not matter. Team Liquid rolling right on through and mechanically outplaying CLG to great effect.
Yeah, so obviously there isn't that on the side of CLG. I'm just dumb. And Shake does manage to do a good job for himself, but he's spending so much time escaping and not enough time healing. His team just gets cut into little pieces. Speaking of which, Shadow's not too far away from that Dragon Blade. Be bearing in mind that he won't have a nano boost to back it up here. Dahang's content just to sort of, get damage done himself and shut down this Winston if he tries to get aggressive. But that high ground already, Liquid want to take control, and Waffle's down already. He's getting farmed.
Shatter is going in the perfect situations. Now that said, he does die the Eye Shiny right after and goes back in, but he's had great initiations on Waffle. It's really now just Eye Shiny diving in, finding two, and giving CLG some form of stabilization here, but this has been a great run by Liquid, and Uber, they're gonna have plenty of tools going into the next fight. So will CLG, which means that this next fight could be very important in deciding momentum in the game.
Yeah, Waffle needs to do work here, pretty much. He's in such a great position to punish, and if he doesn't, Liquid are just going to unload these ultimates and just belt his face in. That's really important. Dahang also is very vulnerable here. He knows he's just staying safe as much as he can and using the charge shot. Hydration goes in. That's already the transcendence. You can see how nervous Dahang is right now, but he's going to get that one down on the low ground. Shatter finds Waffle Tastic. Again, he gets absolutely pummeled and can't do anything on that Soldier 76. That might be the death knell in this fight.
Hydration, counter Dragon Blade coming out, finds Dahang, looking for more, trying to equalize, and does. Picks off 2 people, and Team Liquid, despite taking down Waffle immediately, gonna find it rough to continue this push aggressively. That said, Mezar does find his pound of flesh in Hydration before the fight is fully over.
Yeah, Mezar's actually going to get out alive here, so this is pretty darn good. Even iShiny can't quite chase him down. So they're trying to prevent, obviously, even if they lose a fight, they don't want CLG to be able to set up properly on the shuttle again. So get a few kills and keep the pressure going is fine, but they lost a little bit too much, and with Mezar having to back away, he couldn't jump onto the shuttle because he had to jump back to his team and get healed.
And now you take a look at CLG here. This is actually one of the better spots in the game for self-destruct, where if you throw it down the right way, you can catch multiple people. But look at that ID. Early attack fires are coming in. Fine shake. Shatter diving right in. So even if you have a self-destruct now, it would just be the stabilize rather than winning the fight cleanly. Either way, Sound Bear coming out here from Team Liquid, and they are diving in and committing. They will clean up the rest of this fight, and now a really good chance of riding this all the way to second. It's going to be tough positioning for CLG as they come back in.
A good sound barrier in that fight. I mean, we still saw Hydration looking quite menacing there as well, and you know, Rafa might not have known if there was a Dragon Blade available, so that was just for safety. They needed the fight there though, and you can see now this is going to get a little better. A couple extra meters on the payload here for Liquid, and CLG. Waffle Tastic needs to be able to make an impact here, or he needs to switch off this Soldier 76. This is not working. He is dying to Shatter every time.
It's probably been one of the roughest games we've seen for 76 in a very long time, and as is right now, CLG struggling to get out of their spawn door. Liquid positioning very far up, making it rough for them to reestablish on their defense. Pulse Bomb comes in, almost connects, but CLG, they back out and now move back in the right flow. They're able to take down AZK and get themselves out of the spawn door, and very likely might get Mezar here as well, and they do.
Yeah, Waffle finds him as he drops down. The bubble wasn't quite there. He used it in midair, and now the self-destruct actually claims the suit at least of ID. So Miso gets that much for this fight, but Hydration again in with the kill. He's done very, very well actually in this map. Keeping up with Shatter in the last couple of minutes has been quite important, but again, a lot of this fighting is bluff and blunder up until this point. This is where CLG themselves managed to hold out in their previous game last night. Now they need to break this.
Here comes Shadow. Dragon Blade is out. Gonna be stymied a bit by the sound barrier. Does not get what he's looking for. Taken down by Shiny as CLG. They counter-engage with the sound barrier of their own. And with Liquid losing Shadow early, they don't really have the punching power to maintain this fight. They just have to get out.
Dahang also almost pretty much wasted that Transcendence. He was trying to follow up with Shadow and keep him alive there, but Shadow got too far away and he didn't have a nano boost, right? So he's just it's a clean Dragon Blade with no Transcendence. You're just going to get mince-meated by, you know, someone like iShiny. So he's going to switch now to the 76. So I prefer this change.
Hasn't been bad here so far for CLG, and going into this next fight, they still have tools that Liquid doesn't. Liquid is going to have to go in relatively dry here as Shiny leaps in, gets a nano boost, grabs the hang early on, and might not even need the Primal Rage here to end this fight.
No, there's no need for him to use it. I mean, he got so much survivability away from the nano boost and the extra damage, and Hydration finds Rafa. I actually might have to double back on what I said about Shadow switching 76. I don't mind it generally, but he's been so good at killing Waffle Tastic early in the previous fights, and he's playing this into a Divas, so I'd be surprised if he was able to have the same impact. I think he was doing actually an okay job, despite not having the nano boost.
I agree. I think the way Shadow's been playing Genji, it's difficult to make the argument for him to get off of Genji, almost like the old school Shadowrun debate, but here comes AZK. Pulse Bomb is out, throws it in, does not connect. However, iShiny dies on his counter dive, so Team Liquid still to 65. Self-destruct comes in, also does not connect, but the rest of Liquid, they're picking up the kills on the sides here. CLG not able to get a whole lot done, and as a result, CLG is going to be finding themselves with visitors at their spawn door.
That self-destruct didn't find any kills, but it forced positioning out of CLG that was super suboptimal for them. You saw that, you know, had to come back into the fight one by one, and Hydration was sort of caught on his own. Despite getting that backup now from Shake, he was still taken down, and he didn't really have any targets he could kill.
Mezar just holding up the spawn door, and this is what you see Winston's do in this situation. They just keep the other team back. They don't let them get out of the spawn door, and there's 3 people being held back by Mezar right now. This is great positioning for Team Liquid as the Pulse Bomb connects, takes down Mikado, but Miso over the top, the self-destruct, demeching ID, taking down AZK, and Miso might have brought this one right back.
Liquid have no choice but to eat that self-destruct because they had already made that engagement. They were quite desperately trying to get towards the end of the map in that fight. They were really trying to get in the face of CLG. So if you just engage if you just use your dashes and cooldowns to get in the enemy's face, and there's a self-destruct popped over your head, you're done.
It's one of those cases where you have to commit, but you also have to hope that there's not a self-destruct that is going to ruin your life. It's, do you either go aggressively and commit to that, or you have the self-destruct come in and just ruin you. Either way, it's not a great situation.
Also, as Tracer, you have to be aware of it. Sometimes you forget that it's a self-destruct.
Well, Hydration, Dragonblade is up, looking to put this one away for CLG on the defense. Moves in, gets hooked, and not quite able to get as much as he's looking for here, but finally cuts down ID, and the distraction creates enough time for CLG to move in and get crucial kills. So 15 seconds left here, Uber. Not much time for Liquid to even come back in and force overtime.
No, they can barely get to the payload at all here. In fact, I'd say that's not going to happen, given that there's Miso on that Diva and Ashani can get in their face. ATK is going to have to go triple blink to get there, and he has to use one of them to get towards the side. So aggression, it has to happen. The boot was there though as well. No time left. We are in overtime. It looks like Shadow was close enough, and that AZK is there. But Shadow goes down super early, so it's 5v6 off the bat.
Waffletastic cleaning up over the top, making it 3 at the very end. And this is a problem when you come in with no time remaining. You can't really pay too much attention to positioning, and sometimes you will just lose 3 to 4 people from something like a tack visor over the top. So CLG able to prevent Liquid from punching it in all the way to the end. And yet, that's something on Gibraltar that can be only cold comfort, because you're not guaranteed to finish out Gibraltar to begin with.
Yeah, look, it's a long map. I mean, I wouldn't even have necessarily minded a bit of experimentation there. Maybe even like a Isaiah from ID, or maybe even go for a Farah, just to try and mix things up here. I don't think Shadow was the one that needed a switch, and nor did AZK. So, I don't know. What do you reckon, boys?
I would actually like to have seen Shadow stay Genji at the end, considering how difficult it is to take that final point in Gibraltar, and because high ground is so important. I would rather him just stay down there and try to contest Waffletastic on Catwalk.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say so much that that was a really convincing offense from that, even on the first 2 points. I think a lot of it had to do with Mikado on that Zenyatta. He kind of got farmed by AZK a few times, had to switch to Lucio, and then like they finally kind of found their footing with the ultimates on third point. But we saw again, there was a Dragonblade towards the end, or I guess like one of the first Dragonblade pushes on third with Shattered. They tried to trans to save him, but he died before the trans could get there. And like that's one of those situations where, again, you'd probably rather just have the nano boost on him. Hydration swapping to Genji wound up working really, really well for them too, by the way.
CLG should feel a little bit lucky that I think that they actually stopped that, because as you mentioned, Mikado was on Zen. They lose Waffletastic to start off the map, and there's no healing for Mikado, who's playing at forklift. He has to go all the way to the right side. Then they get basically staggered all throughout the second to third. Mikado doesn't even get sound barrier until the final point. So we'll get an opportunity to definitely close out that map.
So one thing I think that's worth pointing out here is that even if Team Liquid does have some degree of issue in putting together convincing Gibraltar offenses, we did see a very convincing Gibraltar defense from them just in this set last night. Can we expect them to put on a similar performance here, or does CLG have the tools to avoid getting mired in the car wash area?
I don't think CLG is going to fall for the same trap that Tempo fell for. That was something else. I don't know if you can replicate that reliably for Liquid.
Well, Liquid is certainly going to try Slasher, press F to pay respects, but Uber, what are we seeing here as the offense sets up?
Well, so far we will see a dive here. You can see the aggression coming out. I'm glad to see Shadow back on that Genji, and he's harassing the backline, but his reflect time's out, and he gets put to sleep. AZK trying to help him, trying to save him or screen him, whatever. Doesn't work out, and this is sick for CLG. They are really bouncing back here from the attack of Liquid. This dive did not work out. Hydration with a cheeky headshot on Rafa with the Shuriken to finish things off, and they are rolling through the car wash.
A nearly flawless offense coming out there from CLG, where what you just saw there is that they had a quick initiation, they got 1 kill, and they were able to snowball it pretty heavily from there on out. And you add things.
It wasn't in the backline. So AZK and Shadow are trying to hit the backline, but Mezza's not there. So that's pretty tough.
CLG now diving right in, Shiny, cleaving 2 on the bottom, Hydration to the upper right, and they take down ID immediately. This is already looking good for CLG because Liquid, they're not even able to get out and contest this super heavily here right now. Mezar off on an island, he's going to fall, and CLG just, again, mechanically outplaying and should be able to roll the first here without a whole lot of really resistance.
No, that was really nice. You can see ATK was desperately trying to get onto Waffletastic, but it's so much harder to kill him this round. He was sat next to his Ana, and he was sat on a Bardic field. Now, the ATK Pulse Bomb got the Ana, but then he just got rocketed in the face by Waffletastic. So he's keeping himself alive a lot easier. He's got better support this time around, and CLG have not been stopped so far.
No, CLG, they're rolling with plenty of momentum, and that momentum will carry them through this next fight in all likelihood. Take a look at the ults they have built up here. Hydration, ready to go in the Dragon Blade. Shatter, still a little bit away, but he might not get a chance as AZK falls immediately. The flankers of Liquid really struggling to get anything going, and here comes CLG. The Sound Bearer is out, the Dragon Blade is loaded, and they might not even need it here, Uber, as the Sound Bearer sets him up for 3 kills on the payload.
Yeah, I mean, it all started with AZK getting picked up by iShiny. Like, that should only happen if you're out of blink charges, right? So he obviously found himself in a compromising position or was out of position, and iShiny managed to clean him up there. But from that point on, you've got really no pressure on the enemy team backline. You know, Shadow was trying to do what he could, but that's about it. Now the Sound Bearer coming in for Liquid.
Nanoblade could be on the menu here. Shatter diving in, Dragon Blade out, fine shake, and it's 2 kills here from Team Liquid. The most life we've seen them all map long. The Nano Boost instead going on the AZK. Moving in, but Hydration picks up 2 in the back, make it 3! Hydration with the superior Dragon Blade, bringing the fight back for CLG. And Uber, they're gonna punch us right in the second.
I must have missed something. Matt, if you're there, why didn't Dahang Nano Boost Shadow? Did he not see him? Because then he just goes in Nano Boost AZK
So
after.
Miso actually threw in this crazy downtown self-destruct that wound up landing in the door in front of ID and Dahang. I think they both had to kind of hide from it throughout the beginning of that fight.
Completely wrecked Liquid in this fight there, because Shadow needed their Dragon Blade. You give it to AZK, it's far from optimal.
It's a case where it's just like, well, they're probably looking for the Nano Boost. It doesn't come. Shatter has to go for a raw Dragon Blade, and it's just not really what he needed for that to work out. Either way, Liquid struggling to hold on. They get Shake early on the Bionade from downtown. ID holds Attack Advisor in the back as CLG a little bit more disheveled here on this fight than they have been, but Shatter goes down, who switched to Roadhog. It forces out the Attack Visor from ID, and they really would have liked to have saved this here in this fight, and it's not even going to guarantee that they take this fight, Uber.
No, ID's actually getting chunked down very, very low. AZK goes down to Waffle-tastic for like the 10th time in this particular round, and Dahang is desperately trying to keep ID up on his feet, but it's just not enough. Rapper now going down. ID's running out of supports, and now he's running out of life. iShiny finds him, and Mez is put to sleep face down in front of the card. There's nothing he can do. Dahang just gets crunched, and he just has to look on in dismay.
Mez are trying to buy some form of time here for Team Liquid, but it is looking grimmer and grimmer as time goes on. Only 4 members of Team Liquid alive as they come out of the spawn door here. They're gonna have to Sound Barrier just to get out with any form of positioning. And here they go. 4 members Sound Barriered. They come right back out. AZK looking for anything, but it's Waffle-tastic. The Tactical Visor in over the top, aided by the Dragon Blade. 2 more kills here for CLG as they just pummel Team Liquid from all sides.
That's it. There's no time left. They're going to get towards the end here. This yellow square of victory. There's nothing really to be done at all. That is a stomp. That attack was almost flawless.
Check the brakes on that.
Opening up with this Widowmaker opening where ID, looking for early pickoffs, gets some damage on the Hydration, but do you think he's going to stick on this beyond this early part?
He probably shouldn't, because as soon as he gets a little bit closer, he's going to get jumped on by Hydration. He backs away as well. He realizes, I mean, again, it's only to punish overextension for defensive teams, and it shouldn't be really used much further than that in many cases nowadays, especially not against such a divey team. But in the back, Shatter and Meza actually get over the backside there. We saw this quite a while ago, this little flank maneuver, but now they're up against 3. They might just have to straight up get out. Shatter gets bionated and killed by Hydration, and that did not work at all.
Well, the problem there is that AZK was really far away from the rest of the people diving in, where he was late to the party. By the time he was even in range to attack, Shatter had already fallen there, so the coordination a little bit lacking for that Team Liquid dive. However, they did get plenty of free push on the payload while this is going on. It's hard to say that they've lost much in the way of time, but if they're going to get successful kills here, they're going to need to dive sooner rather than later, and hopefully this time with everyone on the same page.
Yeah, Mezzi, you can see he's getting in position to jump over the top of the carts and the stalls to try and get onto the backline here, but he's just trying to find out where they are at this stage. As is AZK, Shatter gets in very, very deep, and that seems to be the go signal here. Good Bardic grenade thrown in the backline for CLG to help them weather this storm, and Waffle throws down the Bardic field also.
Miso doing a phenomenal job of mitigating damage in the back, blocking from multiple sources, ruining AZK's day, but AZK builds up a pulse bomb, drops it in the back, and results in iShiny going down. So Team Liquid not out of this fight yet. It's a very quick transcends by Dahang, and yet we see CLG able to push it back out. Miso's having a great D.Va game back here.
Yeah, that was massive from Mikado as well. He noticed that there were players that were anti-healed inside the Transcendence, and he took his chance. He put a lot of damage down on that Lucio, and it was just a cheeky boot from Miso to secure those. Very nicely done.
Well, back and forth battles, the name of the game here early on. CLG still holding strong, and going into the next fight, they have a Sound Barrier on deck to deal with what is certainly going to be a Dragon Blade coming in from Shatter, so Shatter gonna have to tread lightly here in how he decides to go in on this battle, but you gotta be thinking he's gonna dive in with the blade any moment.
Yeah, Dragon Blade will be available for him. It's a sound barrier though, so he's going to wait this one out a little bit longer. However, in the meantime, Hydration's got into his backline and he's doing a lot of damage. Miso again comes forward, finding to hang Waffle-tastic. Now being addressed as an issue here, but Shadow can't get to him. He was on, again, the biotic field. The 76 is just so hard to kill. And Shadow doesn't even bother pulling out their Dragon Blade there. He knows there's no point.
Well, for him, at the very least, he did see the sound barrier come out. He's able to save it. And now for Team Liquid, this is almost certainly going to be their window. They have 1:30 left, but they do have a bit of an ult advantage coming up where they will have Graviton, Dragon Blade, and Sound Barrier. They're going to need these ultimates to all work in unison with each other because if they don't get it here, Uber, that is almost certainly going to be a first point hold here for CLG. So a lot on the line is ID holding on to the grab, and he's going to drop this right in just a moment.
Oh, Earthshatter actually came down in over that fight there. Shiny just wrapped her up against the carpet. That's all he can get. Shatter in the meantime is making things happen with the Dragon Blade and managed to clean up Shiny pretty comfortably there. He's in a Graviton, he gets discorded, it's as easy as that. It was just a matter of reaching the critical mass of the right ultimates for Liquid, and they managed to break through.
They did have to pay a heavy price for that, though. Dragon Blade, Graviton, and Sound Barrier all used. Meanwhile, you take a look at CLG. They might have given up first, but they have the tools needed to defend second here, where this is, again, one of the areas of the map where self-destruct can get a lot done, but just a soldier on high ground with Tac Visor can shut down a lot as well. So many options for CLG to engage in here on Liquid and buy themselves some extra time.
Yeah, Waffle-tastic will definitely be thinking about that now as well. There's no Diva on the side of Liquid, so he can actually have a lot of freedom from that high ground. He's got to pop it now, but Tang takes him down as soon as he tries to use it. He's going to have to refund it to him very luckily. Any longer and he wouldn't have had it at all. But Dahang takes him out of the fight. Hydration now needs to make up for this by getting into the backline, but it was only Shake to find ACK just from sniping up on the high ground. He eventually is going to be addressed in turn. Liquid actually finally start to get rolling. That's the second one fight in a row.
That is a huge one fight for Team Liquid because you look at how the ult situation was coming in there, that should have been a fight that CLG won. Now Team Liquid, they're able to build their ults in return, take the fight at a disadvantage, which means they'll be able to take this fight much more evenly. A big swing in the momentum of the game here for Team Liquid, and now let's see if they can keep this rolling forward as CLG tries to stabilize.
That was a pivotal fight. There's no other way around it. Getting those ultimates for Liquid is so important. They can let them go here and try and finish things off, but Waffle-tastic is going to use that Tac Visor. Nice little anti-heal there. He gets himself 2 quick kills with the high ground. Liquid maybe go a little bit too far, too deep, but I have to say that was beautiful from Shake. What a setup. Waffle-tastic gets the kills, but a lot of credit needs to go to the Yana.
Shake sets up Waffle-tastic beautifully there, and I mean, it's great on both parts where you have the set from Shake and the good fall through from Waffle-tastic, and the fact that CLG was still able to maintain some ultimates in reserve, Sound Barrier, Dragon Blade, all at the ready. This next fight is going to be pivotal as both teams really loaded for bear, and it's going to come down to perhaps a Genji battle between Hydration and Shatter.
And no nano boost for Hydration, that was used in the last fight, so they're both going to be essentially clean. Well, they're never clean Dragon Blades, they're always dirty as heck, but that's kind of the way he's designed. So Hydration is going to look for an entry at some point. Rafa gets a little bit too close there to Shiny, who just takes to the high ground now and tries to control it, but Mezza's going to be there as well. Here's the Primal Rage.
Mezar under assault, having to back off a bit. Here comes Hydration to the backline. Rafa in his sights, but the Transcendence comes out, ruining Hydration's day. This will not be an effective Dragon Blade. Meanwhile, Shatter still has his in reserve. 80 HP, not the greatest for using it, but look at this. They have to get on the payload. They have to sacrifice high ground to stall this out, as Shatter can drop the blade at any time, and here it is. The blade is on the way, diving up to the high ground, but Shatter almost confused as to where he wants to go in on here. It's not going to be super effective. Waffle drops Attack Visor from great positioning and picks up 2, soon to be 3.
So take the defense from CLG on Gibraltar and now look at it here. And you can see the difference that I guess that you see when Waffle gets shut down as to when he doesn't. Mezza spent his entire Primal Rage trying to kill Shake up against the wall, just juggling him. But Waffle-tastic put down a biotic field and Shake just naded himself and he lived. And Mezza was just like, well, all I've done is be annoying.
I would say the biggest thing for Team Liquid is that I feel like Mezar hasn't had people going in with him at the same time. A lot of his distraction comes in early, he has to leave early, and Liquid isn't able to capitalize. That said, they're opening up with the Graviton. Both supports grab by that grab. ID, the support assassins, Shatter, there with the follow-through, and that is 3 very clean kills from Team Liquid to perhaps punch through point number 2.
Yeah, sick Graviton, pure and simple. That was a fight winner for ID. Really, really nicely done. Just laid it straight in there at reasonable range, and it did require Shatter to actually dash towards it, but he was opportunistic when he used it, and he used his time well. Shiny obviously gets staggered. He gets a bad split spawn there, which happens on this particular map, but that's all that CLG will lose. It's not going to hurt them too much now as the payload sort of sits stationary for a couple seconds here.
if there's been a player that's been somewhat quiet for Team Liquid over the course of the day here so far, at least compared to what we saw in the group stages yesterday, it's been AZK. But he does have the pulse bomb at the ready, and if he was to pick a time to come back out and really start putting it in for Team Liquid, this would be the time as he connects. Waffle-tastic down to that pulse bomb. It's a good opening here from Team Liquid Uber as they go 4-0.
Yeah, they're going to make a lot of progress off this fight as well. I mean, AZK, maybe instead of being quiet, he hasn't just been decimating people. I think that's been the big difference. He was just wrecking fools yesterday, pounding it out. Now, I mean, it's a little bit more on ID. Those gravitons have been important as well. Shatter, there's always a lot of responsibility leveled at him. Miso takes half his health and damage before he even gets out of spawn. There's now a primal rage to keep everyone inside. Dragon Blade for Shatter now as he catches hydration and he's pushed it out. Everything is here for Liquid. They have all the hope. They shouldn't lose this fight at all.
No, they shouldn't, and unfortunately for CLG, they're not really able to get out of their spawn cleanly at all. Almost every kill going the way of Team Liquid here. It's a clean wipe, and they will finish out Dorado with 19 seconds remaining, and to some extent, this is a pretty good recovery for Liquid, who was really stuck for quite a while between first and second.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind hearing from the analysts on this one as well, because we saw Liquid struggle to build up momentum, but once they did, they managed to turn those fights all in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, ID finds 2 out-of-position supports from CLG to barely take the end of the second point. And if you're CLG, you got to feel pretty good after Shatter wastes his Genji Blade, not able to get any kills. Waffle-tastic gets 3, and then you're able to fight for 1 more. But ID with a good grab, and then they're able to snowball from there. I think you've got to be pretty happy though if you're CLG with how that defense went.
Yeah, first point they actually almost full held, but I mean the one fight that they were supposed to win, I think Shake hit like a 3-man and a nade, and they wound up just canceling a Transcendence with that. But I think to ZP's point, I'm noticing actually that Tahang and Rafa are just kind of chilling on the cart a lot more, like playing that win style support. But it's not paying off for them. Like when you see those jumps from Mezzer where he's at like 1v3 and a heal station just completely negates him. I think that there's a lot of dives where they probably want Rafa more deep with the rest of the team as opposed to helping him out, because they don't have their long-range heals with just the Zenyatta. It's a little bit weaker than the Ana, and I think that stuff like that actually made a really big difference in whether or not they were able to take that second point.
Well, in general, to that point, if you go back to the very first push where you had the Winston and Shatter moving in to the right, Mezzer and Shatter were over there, and AZK, by the time he got to that dive, it was pretty much all but over. So over the course of the map, you just had situations where Liquid, they were not all on the same page, and I think the point about the supports is very good, but even on the DPS note, it didn't really feel like AZK, Shatter, and Mezzer were working as one cohesive unit for parts of that.
If you're Liquid, this is the time to take a risk. Looks like they will be by putting Rafa on Zen, so they're going to try the Zen on a defense. We've seen Dorado could be very well with a different type of setup, or it could be very bad. If you lose first point, you could be snowballed for the rest of the map.
Well, iShiny gonna take the lead here early on, diving right in with Reckless Abandon, gets a Discord Orb on him, and does get out with 50 HP, so he's still able to get away. AZK trying to put an end to that, but the Diva Protection will prevent him from finishing off that kill.
Yeah, it's fine though, because they force CLG back, they force a disengage, and this lets them set up on the high ground very quickly again before they come back. Shadow and Mezzer up above, AZK has to back away, but the dive comes in, this needs to be responded. Mezzer needs to help his backline out as well. They're taking so much damage, and Tahang and ID already down, they've got Shadow as well. It's a disaster.
And yet AZK able to bring it right back. So it's a 3-for-3 here, which still favors the offense, but AZK all of a sudden going off. You were talking about the idea where he wasn't pounding as much earlier in the set. Well, Uber, he is pounding now as AZK just went full hero mode.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a disaster. I mean, okay, so getting your backline dived on when you're like a step behind is pretty average. If you're Mezzer, you try and want to be on top of that. They lost like 3 players, but the recovery was sick because of AZK. He really saved them in that case and forced this stagnation of fight. So he's pretty sick. I mean, they're Liquid, but I'm hard. That's the way it goes. I'm solid on this one. Let's see how it all plays out now. The payload moving now into the Dorado car wash.
Oh, a beautiful stick to open that up. AZK waking up here for Team Liquid to disastrous results for CLG. As CLG, they had what could have been a very good opening here. They get pushed back, and now after that pulse bomb, they're thrown back even more, stuck waiting for Waffle-tastic to get back into this fight.
iShiny a little bit out of position here. I guess he was going to use the primal rage, but what's the follow-up? Well, there's none, because he's sleeping. So he's just going to be pumping out Z's while the rest of his team tries to pump out damage in his absence now. Mezzer putting down the bubble on the high ground, but the payload is moving. They need to respond to this, and only Mezzer's going to be there. He needs to be careful not to get caught out of position here. Rafa's trying to get down the slope with the Transcendence, but he got kept moved out of the way by Miso. He finally gets there, but that could have been quite the play.
This is a lot of ultimates being used here by Team Liquid, and the upside is they won the fight, but the downside is with how much they had in reserve, Uber, I don't think they need to use all that, but look at that. That's a nice stagger on the Shake to buy themselves at least a little bit of extra time here on first.
Yeah, nicely done. To pick him up is quite crucial there. That was interesting play from Misu. He actually realized that the payload was moving, and he almost gave his team like a 5v1 against Meza. That could have really helped them win the fight. Just booping them back up the stairs, but they got through, and of course Shadow just started wrecking people with the Dragon Blade.
CLG coming in here with Tac Visor and Sound Barrier at the ready. Gonna be on Waffle-tastic to pierce on through, but so far, not a lot of targets into sights. Almost gets Rafa to the top, getting flanked from the side, and Mezar puts an end to it right then and there. Team Liquid, though, still on the back foot, down one player here, so try and bring it back. ID, no fear, diving back in onto the payload, but his team is dead all around him. The dive from My Shiny, too effective for Liquid to handle.
Yeah, he was discorded as well. He had to deal with, what, like 4 or 5 players there, so it probably wasn't really going to work out. But that's decent for Liquid. You can be happy with that. This is a longer map as well. They've got about the same amount of time that Liquid did to finish this second phase, so now it's about tightening up the screws a little bit more and getting a couple successful fights to keep draining that clock.
Well, Liquid looking to reset here once more. AZK holding onto the Pulse Bomb, and if you want to buy extra time for your team, investing in a Tracer who can deliver Pulse Bombs to the backline, that's one way of doing it. It's AZK in over the top, dropping the Pulse Bomb. Does it connect? No, not quite. Comes close to getting Lucio, but Waffle-tastic is there at the punish, and now, how things flip. CLG gets a 65 opportunity to open up second.
The attack fires are going off here for ID. Doesn't find a hell of a lot for it, and Shadow's the first to drop in this fight. He had Dragon Blade, but he wasn't able to use it. A lot of bolts coming out of Liquid now as Rafa does use the Transcendence as a primal rage for Meza earlier on in that piece. You can see the pushing back. The hang gets cut off, and so does Rafa losing his supports here, which is going to be really bad for Liquid, and they're falling into a similar trap as CLG did on their defense here. They fight very far forward, and they lose it. This could be a snowball now against them.
The other thing, too, is that I don't think AZK was expecting the McCree to come out here, and I do think the McCree was a direct response to what AZK was doing on that first point defense. This is a good adaptation from CLG because not only did it catch AZK off guard, but McCree in general can be really good against flankers if you're not getting coordinated dives to deal with them, and with Team Liquid's dive coordination, I think this is a perfect pick right now for CLG.
Self-destruct, TP, this could be pretty nasty into the back corner, but it doesn't find anything. Waffle-tastic on the McCree, though, a bit of a change of pace, a change of style, and it seems to have worked. Getting himself 2 kills, and he may as well have had 3 there. We get the flash in just to finish things off, and CLG cannot be stopped right now. Pushing straight forward, might counter Liquid Gaming at this stage. We really need to see Team Liquid set up here in this last phase. It's 3 minutes 22.
Team Liquid certainly on the hot seat now, where if this is capped out here by CLG, Liquid is not out of it, but they would be at a very severe time disadvantage. So if they want to even things up on time, it's gonna have to begin now, but AZK taken down. A lot of pressure here for Shatter. Nanoblade in progress, gets one, looking for more, but the Transcendence really limiting his effectiveness as Hydration hooks him in, but the Zarya shield able to protect Shatter, keeps him alive on the dive, and yet not much more he can do with it nonetheless.
I mean, the Transcendence didn't just limit his effectiveness. Shadow just got rolled in smoke, mate. There's nothing you can do about that. He tried to go in, couldn't get any damage done, and that was the desperation. Already losing AZK early in the fight, they knew they had to go as quickly as they could and at least get a 5v5 or at least try and make it an even man scenario. But they couldn't do that. They committed too many resources into trying to do so. And that's a Dragon Blade, and Nano is gone. Now Shadow going to switch to the Roadhog. I think he should definitely take a leaf out of Hydration's book.
Shatter on the Roadhog here, and for Liquid, for them, I think if they want to have a chance to win this, they need to get at least 2 more fights here, I would say. Soundbear comes in from CLG, they're out for blood now. They dive fully past the payload onto a point, but it's AZK in the back, takes down Hydration, but that might be all Liquid gets here as CLG is able to regroup. However, Sound Barrier comes in with the Graviton, and Liquid is able to get the fall through this time.
That was really nice. I was about to say, Waffle had too much room to breathe in that fight until the Graviton brought them all together with the rest of his team, but the reinforcements are here. CLG have that spawn advantage. Very, very hard wall. They had that spawn advantage early back towards the gate, but now at least they had the players just to get there in time and stagger. It worked in their favor.
Baby Diva sometimes getting her pound of flesh. They're able to take down Winston even as AZK comes in for the assassination. That said, Mezar going to regroup, and Mezar going on now to the Reinhardt. It's a much tankier defense coming out here from Team Liquid as they try and buy time over this next minute and a half.
Yeah, look, there's no concern about verticality now when you're sort of defending in this last area. If the payload was any further down, you might not switch, but now obviously he can also control the halls to a greater degree with that shield, give his team, at least his backline, a bit more room to breathe now. So, My Shiny as well, going to be contesting him on that Reinhardt. You see the message shield is getting very low. That's Della coming out for Waffle-tastic. Who can he find with this one? Liquid had to back away into the corner. They're so scared of this.
This is a crazy zoning Deadeye. Talk about controlling positioning with one ultimate. It didn't get any kills, but it certainly got a whole lot of value. CLG now, let's see if they can capitalize. Liquid pushed all the way back. A nano boost comes in. AZK blows up Waffle-tastic. 5 versus 5 here on the point, and the Transcendence will fade from Shake, giving Team Liquid the option of diving right back in, and they do.
You see Shadow finding hydration there as well, wins that Hog battle. iShiny's anti-heal right now, but he might be able to find ID with one more swing of the hammer. Miso tries to find him as well, but this might get a bit of a struggle here for CLG right now. They're coming up just a little bit short. They've got 35 seconds left in this one. It's going to be a tough one.
CLG now out of time, and for them, the best case scenario would just be to finish this with 0 time left remaining.
It's gotta be the
almost certainly
Earth
going to be an overtime game, and you're right, it's iShiny with the Earth Shatter that's going to have the ability to potentially open this up. Miso might get a Graviton midway through the fight, so Tank Ultimate's the name of the game here as Mezar about to have his Earth Shatter. Reinhardt v Zarya battle. Final fight here on Dorado. Here we go.
iShiny takes a bit of damage, and that's the Graviton coming out from Liquid. They're going to cut this to the quick, but Rafa dies first. That's the Earth Shatter coming out here. A lot of CLG knocked down. Meza really nailed that one. 2-4 to his hammer. Now the chase is on. There's a few players still here for CLG, and Miso trying to look to charge up that Graviton. He has it now, but what will he do with it? Gets 2 caught in there. Dahang immediately goes for the Biotic Grenade, but he still falls anyway. Miso finds ID. The Graviton allowed him to get 2 kills in that fight. The Sound Barrier for Liquid just to try to keep them alive, but Hydration's going to push them back off the car. He's got the whole hog.
The whole hog annihilating Mezar towards the very end, creating space, going the hook and shatter as Hydration coming alive towards the very end here. Pulse bomb out from AZK does not connect. CLG dominant positioning here on the payload. Liquid desperately struggling to delay. Late swap on the Sombra does not work out, and Mezar and Rafa not able to get back onto the payload as CLG does finish out Dorado with all of their time.
Hydration just went ham in that last fight as well. He really limited the potential stall that could have been there. But yeah, those 2 tank ults, especially Miso's Graviton there, was enough for CLG to get over the line. This is going to be a sick replay.
Rafa dying at the very end there was actually huge for Liquid. He had 94% on Sound Barrier. He stays alive in that second to last fight. He probably uses Sound Barrier, and they have a much easier time of reinforcing there. But them able to stagger Rafa, he's only able to get 2 people at the end. I mean, Liquid put themselves in the very best position to be able to defend that. Their gambit of the Zen Ana defense at the very beginning ended up working. The first fight was actually pretty intense for Liquid. They could have gotten rolled right there. They were able to do it. The second point didn't go so well, and they gave up high ground kind of in a bad position. But they took enough time off the clock to hold that off there.
Yeah, I felt like the Waffle-tastic McCree swap was actually really good, but there was a point where they got into third point, they took one fight, and then they tried to push the cart, I think, all the way, but Waffle-tastic stayed on the low ground instead of going high ground with the High Noon, and I really question whether or not that was the play, because I felt like the High Noon could have actually just... Yeah, I feel like, yeah, he got grabbed on the cart, but he could have just been up on the high ground because Liquid was all spawning, and I think a really good High Noon there might have actually, like, given them an extra 2 minutes for this push, but he played really well.
Team Liquid on the defense. They must defend here for 1 minute, and because this is payload, this is a case where in overtime, crazy things can happen. Team Liquid looking for 1 to 2 decisive team wipes to put this one in the bag, and with Hydration finding AZK immediately, it is not going well for this early defense. CLG, a dominant dive coming in.
Oh, iShiny needs to get away. If he does, he just survives yet again. The Winston lives on. He gets healed up. He went deep with Miso, but now he was able to back away and survive that. That's just ridiculous in and of itself. ID was Discord, and iShiny and Miso take it down. This is a really nice opening here for CLG. Notice that iShiny now playing to the back of the fight, and Hydration goes through with the hook, gets the kill on Rafa. Don't do CLG. Almost perfect. I would have wanted Shake to hang around, but this has been really nice. Hydration's popping off.
And this is the scary part here for Liquid, because even though CLG is about to run out of time, they can push a payload for as long as they can stay on it. So it is really an undefined variable here, where the question is not how much time does CLG have left now, but how long is it going to take Team Liquid to get a full team wipe, or at least get CLG off of the payload. And this engage, very haphazard coming in from Liquid. They lose Mezar immediately, and this is a risk here, Uber, because if this fails, then they get pushed back even further. That said, ID coming out the nano boost on the tac visor. laser, looking for a little bit more, and he's able to get his men, taking down 3, and this should be a hold from Team Liquid right before first.
Yeah, that's right. It's just Ice Shiny and Waffle-tastic now, but we see if Waffle, if he can like rise to the challenge here, we can turn this around. Oh! Without ID and Shadow Boys very quickly. Now Meza gets to the payload at the very least, but it was a 2v2. AZK was there for the shutdown, but Hydration's back. Guess what? This is still going.
This is still going. It was looking all but over there, and yet a little bit of delay from CLG and Respawn's coming in, making this a contest. The payload still hasn't moved in a while, but Team Liquid now on the verge of getting thrown back. Self-destruct in over the top by Miso connects. Rafa out of the fight, and CLG taking from control. This overtime nightmare is not yet over for Team Liquid.
No, they got the place here. They're going to win this fight comfortably. Shake doesn't even need to transcend it here, but all they really want is his first point, and it looks like they're going to have it. ATK can only stall for so long, and CLG continued. That was sick stuff. Waffle-tastic kept them alive with that double kill, and the stall came in after that. Beautiful.
It was looking like the gamble that Team Liquid did there paid off with being able to get in and get those kills, but the problem is that it would have been much easier to stop the payload in overtime from the second floor high ground, but instead they try and stop it at first and get punished. Now they don't have the resources that they did before, and it's much more difficult to actually come in and stop this.
Yeah, Rafa died with a sound barrier before though, so we can at least use it now. This is what Liquid's going to use. This is the impetus for their fight. They're going to drop down. But look, ID and the Hang get knocked off the high ground. ID trying to respond with attack fires, but most of it's being eaten up by Miso. It's nothing he can really do. And Ice Shiny's being so annoying. He zoned them all off into the room, and that leaves Waffle-tastic and Mikado in a 2v2 on the point, and they win that out comfortably. Both of them getting the wins there, and this is going to keep going. Liquid have failed to do anything to really stop CLG here. This could be the series all and done. Rafa finds Ice Shiny, and that should be the trigger now to have CLG back up a little.
This is a disaster here for Team Liquid because now a lot of their hopes and dreams have to go on the Dragon Blade command from Shatter, and they still, even if they stop it here, have to have just as impressive as an offense coming in. CLG well on their way to winning the series, as Liquid comes in and tries to end this overtime nightmare. They get Miso immediately, and the Nano Blade now in play. Shatter looking to clear out the payload. That's his priority. It's 2 kills here so far, making it 3. Team Liquid on the verge of stopping this, but so much damage was done.
Yeah, that's the half. Obviously, you have a Nano Blade come in. We know what Shatter does with it there. It was pretty well assured that they were going to win the fight at that point, but I mean, where it all went wrong was in the 2v2s and the 1v1s over on that payload just in front of the first checkpoint. And with Rafa dying early to that Selfless strike, by the way, that really hurt Liquid. He could have had that sound barrier and kept them alive. It means so much more in those situations.
I think the advantage goes to CLG here just because I think that they know they only have to win one fight, so they'll probably pick a composition that only needs to win one fight. Or I mean, that would definitely be the most intelligent play here because, I mean, they can kind of almost give up first point if they want to take a fight on the high ground. They're not going to, but Liquid definitely hurt themselves trying to take that really skirmishy fight on first cap where Waffle-tastic, I think, got like a 3k behind a Winston bubble, which really shouldn't happen.
I mean, you got to give some individual props there to Waffle-tastic for keeping that alive, getting 2 kills at the end. I mean, if you're Liquid, you need to not let that happen, especially considering it is Dorado final point there. But really, overall, CLG has been making this triple tank Zen style work very well for them.
And Ice Shiny is a monster, by the way. The way he zoned out both ID and Dahang on the second phase in that last overtime, he wrecked them, mate. He was all over them. He knocked them back into the vault. He was so aggressive, and they couldn't do anything. Completely split Liquid apart.
Well, Liquid now, they have a minute 20 left, but I will tell you this, a minute 20 is not enough to match what CLG did, so an overtime push will be in the cards for Liquid if they want to stay alive and force map number 3. If they fail to do that, they will be taking a trip to the lower bracket. ID opening up the Widowmaker, doesn't see any early aggression, so he's going to swap right off.
Shake just gets 11% for the mining grenade. It hits everyone on the side of Liquid as they come out the gates. It's BM, but remember, it is also to get an earlier nano, so nicely done by him. Whatever helps, I suppose. And you can see that CLG are playing back quite far. They don't want to give up anything for free. They've got Hydration to give them an automatic 6v5 if he connects a hook, and Miso is obviously going to be there to prolong Ice Shiny's shield with that defense matrix.
Liquid right now moving in. Any pickoff now would be disastrous, and Mezar leading the charge, leaping in. They get down Ice Shiny immediately. 6v5 here for Team Liquid as they take it slow and steady. Miso going to get D-Mech, so the tanks of CLG taking a beating here to the flanking DPS of Team Liquid.
Yeah, this is really clean by Liquid actually coming in to start this fight. ACK's been massive. Dahang's had himself 2 kills, if I'm not mistaken, and Shadow was also there in a big way, so that's pretty much going to be the win right there. And so if you're Liquid right now, you say, we give them this point, we set up now to just win one fight. Just one fight, that's all they have to do. Ice Shiny switched off over towards Winston now.
One fight is the margin here, and CLG is going to get 2, if not 3 attempts to get this through, which means that one of the fights they should have an ult advantage. Pulse Bomb comes out from AZK, does not connect. The iShiny able to get away from that Pulse Bomb. We are now in the full overtime push as Liquid fights for their right to stay alive here in the upper bracket.
Yeah, that's right. Otherwise, they're going to go down to the lower, and CLG are going to go to that upper bracket final. You see, Meza tries to dive in and doesn't find anything, but AZK's been harassing Hydration so hard on the backside, and Waffle may have committed to this in the wrong way. He goes in with a nano visor, but it was a transcendence, but it don't matter. Shadow tries to go big in the backline, but Waffle just turns around. He had a tac visor and a nano boost. So risky, but he can't get into the fight. He can't get much damage done there. Shake gets a nice biting grenade, but Liquid, that's a clean fight for them again. They lose 1.
Even though Waffle took out so many people with the visor, the problem is that respawns are coming in for Team Liquid, and they can almost play the payload like you do if you're defending the last point on Assault map, with stalling it out, waiting for respawns, and Waffle was in a situation where he couldn't really push forward and eventually got outnumbered. So Team Liquid, they keep this moving in overtime, and ID is on a stealth mission right now, sneaking into the room here, looking for a Graviton to catch CLG off guard. This might go underneath the bridge, depending on how he wants to do this, but no, he's going forward, drops a Grav and pulls in 3, and the fall through is right there for Team Liquid. They get iShiny as Shatter piles on. It's a 3K from Shatter off of the Graviton, and Team Liquid on the verge of bringing this back. 2 crazy overtime pushes, one after another, but Team Liquid gets it further in the end.
This is such a sick game. That was amazing, but Team Liquid have the ultimates for that last push. You're not going to survive against a whole...
Well, the CLG defense is set. The offense from Team Liquid is on the way. And this is going to be a relatively divey offense here between Mezar, Shatter, and AZK, and ID actually swapping off to the Zarya, so a little bit of extra tank power coming in from Liquid at the cost of hitscan DPS.
Yeah, it also lets them just really break these fights if they need to. They need a decent team fight on this first point. If things go south for the winner, he's going to be able to wait on a Graviton and just sort of break them there. A lot of damage coming across here, and you can see that CLG are more than happy to give up a little bit of ground, but this is why Shatter and Rafa are teasing on the edge of the point. They're daring CLG to engage. They want them to come forward, but Meza gets hooked in, taken down immediately. Maybe they don't want them to dive on them so much now.
The early hook comes in, and now you see CLG taking a much more aggressive posture where they don't have to just hold further back. They can go in, fish for more hooks because they have that 6v5 setup. Yet Team Liquid, now the respawns are coming in, and they're going to make another attempt at it. One thing that's worth noting is that even though it's been relatively silent, Shadow has been building up his Dragon Blade this entire time. He's going to have it very soon.
And AZK is also doing some long-range poking here as well, just to try and probably charge up his Pulse Bomb. He doesn't want to go in too close because he fears the Roadhog. Once that hook's gone, AZK should jump in, and he's going to do it right now. Dahang goes down to Waffle-tastic, though, in this fight, and iShiny's keeping that shield up pretty nicely. This is impressive from CLG to hold.
It's a 3-pronged flank here from Team Liquid, and here comes the Blade for the finish. They get one early on as Shatter diving in gets 2 before the Blade expires, and the damage has been done. That was a really nice flank coming in there from Team Liquid from multiple angles. Waffle, though, thinks he can bring it back. The Nano Visor in and on the way. Not too much in his way right now as he finds ID, but ends up getting pummeled from 2 other sides. AZK and Mezar going to get 2 kills, and now Team Liquid investing more ultimates to take this. As both teams are all in on this fight.
Yeah, this is ballsy from CLG considering their spawn disadvantage, but Miso is here and he's quite well charged up. However, he's going to be on his own very shortly. The Discord Orb is very tough to deal with as your Roadhog, and that's pretty much going to be that. Liquid up on the point, 4 minutes 30 remain in this round, and again, ID not having to use a Graviton, or not getting one, but hey, it's the same thing really.
Well, Team Liquid are now looking to pile on the momentum, moving into the respawns of CLG and hitting pay dirt. 2 extra kills coming in here as CLG going to get evicted right back to their spawn point.
Yeah, I mean, that just saves them a lot more time, right? It's kind of a real bonus. I mean, if you're going to kill 2 people, you want to try and kill them a little bit apart, right? So you buy some extra time. But they get 3 there. They also helps them farm up their ultimates in a big way. So you're going to see Primal Rage, Graviton Surge, Pulse Bomb, maybe even a Dragon Blade in this fight.
ID right now role-playing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle in the sewers with a Graviton in reserve, and there's a Graviton. It grabs everyone, and the Big Bang follows right in. 4 kills from AZK. That was a beautiful setup. My goodness.
Yeah, I love that. Really good cerebral approach there from ID, knowing exactly where the enemy were going to be approximately positioned and made sure he kept himself safe. And, you know, if you're CLG, you should probably be worrying about Zarya playing from an off angle when you haven't seen her grab yet in this game. You really should be keeping track of that.
My ultimate is charging.
And I think teams sometimes lose track of the Zarya. They weren't expecting ID to come in out of nowhere, and now CLG is going to try and rush in, but their positioning is terrible, and Team Liquid just diving in to disrupt. That said, CLG still making the most of this. They find a hang on the counter dive, and it's really Hydration cracking this open in what was a tough packed-in situation for CLG.
Yeah, I mean, Hydration's doing all the work right now for CLG, but they had Meza behind them with the Primal Rage, so they couldn't actually set up. They couldn't even use Reinhardt's shield because he was getting knocked around as well. They're all going to get knocked apart. Hydration gets like a 3rd or 4th kill in this fight, which has just been a huge contribution from him, and now he gets himself a sound barrier, so the fun's going to continue here for CLG, and they're going to be able to hold outside of the Foundry for now.
And CLG, it's pretty impressive that they were able to come back and bring that back in, because they couldn't worry about, hey, let's go in a way that makes sense. They were packed together as 6. Team Liquid initiated into them, Mezar leading the way, and yet from the heroic play of Hydration, they were still able to find a way of pulling that one back. So 2 minutes left here for Team Liquid. And CLG with the chance of holding for quite a long time here, as their ultimates are certainly more well-stocked.
Yeah, Liquid wants to take the high ground here as much as they can. They're going to actually just sneak people in there, just in case Hydration tries to get cheeky. Yeah, he's spotted out pretty quickly. The Graviton Surge comes in, but the Hang very quickly responds with the Transcendence here. ID actually goes down to a Pulse Bomb, and now the AZK comes in a little bit late in that fight, so there's not really much that can be done to stop that Transcendence. With AZK getting 2 kills, the Pulse Bomb connected with Shake. This should be Liquid pushing forward now. They need to get this done quickly, though.
CLG still with options of here. It's just a Lucio and a Tracer at this point. However, Hydration takes too much damage, can't stand the point, and as Mezar just swats him away and off.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be it. It had to be a fairly quick fight given the proximity of the respawning team, but nicely done by AZK over there. The Graviton Surge was less than ideal, especially when you catch a Zenyatta who's just going to transcend it through it. And I think by the time that CLG realized that, Shake was a little bit late on the Bardic Grenade, so couldn't really, reverse that.
Well, going to the next fight, Shatter holding on to Dragon Blade. Not going to have a whole lot to go with it, but it could be enough. But what an Earth Shatter by iShiny. Goodbye and good night. That is one way to just stuff a push before it begins.
Stuff a push. I've heard some things before, but that was pretty impressive. And I tell you what, Waffletastic has done exactly the same thing with his 6-shooter right there. AZK got headshot off the back of that fight. The switch to McCree now, again, is what we need to be scrutinizing on the side of CLG.
Well, CLG, they are able to fully reestablish here, and I gotta say, Waffle coming back on the McCree, I'm a fan of it here just because it's going to apply way more pressure to both AZK and Shatter and really make him more of a target in the back.
Again, he's going to try and get as much space as he can. This is a composition that can give him said space to a great degree, especially with the Reinhardt and Zarya combination being there. He's the only threat to Tracer in a big way, though, so he definitely needs to make sure those flashes connect with Shatter or AZK. And now he's being pressured by Meza. He backs away, rolls back, Meza goes down. Now Waffle can do more in this fight.
The problem there is that Mezar dove in, Shatter wasn't really ready with the Dragon Blade, still holding on. Late Graviton by ID, and it grabs 4 people! It's another great Graviton, but the fall through not really there. Mezar was already dead when it hit, so what could have been a disaster for CLG, they're able to skate away from.
That was Mikado. His timing on that sound barrier was perfect. AZK pulse bombed that Graviton, but he only got 1 kill off of it because of that really nice sound barrier from Mikado, so sick Lucio play there.
CLG finding ways of burning time off the clock right now. Minute 20 left here for Team Liquid. That's about 2 pushes left remaining. AZK, though, hot pursuit, finds Hydration. Hydration was looking for the ambush pulse bomb. Does not happen, and this evolves into a 65 chance for Team Liquid. Shatter still holding on to Dragon Blade. Doesn't want to use it here just yet. I think he realizes that Shake has a Transcendence. The Transcendence comes out, which means as soon as it fades, Dragon Blade will be out. Defensive Graviton is in, but Shatter still the opportunity to go in himself, and here comes the Blade. Blade is out, and not great targets available here for Shadow immediately. Not able to get Miso. And for CLG, they're finding a way of holding this in, Uber.
Yeah, I mean, Meza just found Hydration there as well with that primal range, and he should be able to deal with iShiny, who's up in the corner, so he and Shadow can combine onto that kill. The problem is, this whole time, Waffletastic has been in a position where he can just get damage done, right? Sitting back on the payload, this is going to force Liquid to go again. This is their last push, essentially. One more chance, and they burnt all their ultimates in the previous fight. They're going to have a Pulse Bomb, and that needs to be some Hail Mary stuff.
Certainly grim here for Team Liquid, and I agree. If AZK can land a Pulse Bomb, that's going to be one of the few ways Team Liquid can bring this back in. Or just good mechanical play, but either way, AZK, the Pulse Bomb is in, and now he's looking for clumps of targets on CLG to make this work. Dives into the back, lobs the Pulse Bomb, doesn't connect. The sound barrier keeping CLG plenty healthy here. They get the first 2 kills and start pushing right back into Team Liquid.
Just so sick now. iShiny really turning up the heat, gets ID with a charge, and now the Earthshatter's going to come through from all the damage he's done in that fight. That's his second in the last couple of fights, if I'm not mistaken. He's been involved in it. Overtime ticks down, and this was CLG's pick, and Liquid failed to finish.
Certainly impressive stuff coming out here from the side of CLG to hold on the back end. Let me just throw this here to our analyst, where we haven't seen McCree getting used as often as he was in the past, but CLG, one of the few teams that is bringing him back in the vogue. How are you guys evaluating Waffle-tastic's McCree right now?
I think he's doing fine. I think his 76 should have been able to do a little bit more work. I'm surprised they didn't hold him in the streets phase, actually, because they took a fight where I think Miso threw out a graviton, they trans and sound barriered it, but then Waffle-tastic took a nanovisor from the low ground and wound up losing that fight. I think Liquid kind of put themselves in a bad position on this map, though, because they were running Winston into a Reinhardt on that last part. They were running graviton into graviton. Like, they didn't have any counters for the gravs, they didn't have any counters for the tac visors, and they didn't have any counters for the shatters. So I don't know how they planned on getting team wipes, especially when it got to the third stage. I think strategically there was just a better thought processes from CLG, but that McCree definitely paid dividends. It takes a lot of pressure off Shake if there's just another hero that you need to kill.
I mean, Liquid is trying to make this dive comp work. I feel like other teams have had a better run with this, especially on a map like Kings Row, where we talked about it is difficult to run this type of style unless you have a lot of practice with it. So it shows that they don't have as much success unless Shatter and AZK are both going off. And on the flip side for CLG, you know, they are running this comp with McCree and Zen and either 3 tanks or hydration flexing as one of their comps that they're practicing. And at the same time, if Liquid's going to be running this dive with Genji Tracer and Waffle can get some space and not die, then it's a pretty solid choice.
Do you also think there's an idea where you're running heroes like McCree that you can catch teams off guard where they just haven't played against him forever and they forget, actually, we need to dive this aggressively to deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, they do have to kill McCree, but I mean, it's difficult, especially when you have Zen on your side.
Well, speaking of McCree Uber, he is coming back out for the offensive CLG here, not being relegated merely to defense, and still going to be a big thorn in AZK and Shadow's side.
Yeah, I've got to watch out. If I see McCree, I always tunnel vision cast him, and I just don't even pay attention to what's happening elsewhere. So I'm just going to zoom out here and see what happens. We've actually had a pause call at a bit of a weird time in this game, so okay. This is one of those kind of awkward ones when you're face to face with the enemy and neither of you can move.
And just to dive a little bit deeper. Unless they're gonna unpause really quickly. I mean, McCree traditionally is always really good against Trace, really good against Genji, and pretty solid against Winston. But the combination of all of them lately in the dive-heavy meta has really forced him out in favor of Soldier being the preferred option most of the time.
Well, the one thing that's really worth knowing about McCree is that you can go to stats on websites like Winston's Lab and take a look at win rates for different fights. And because McCree is so very much hit or miss, where he's either won you the fight with a very quick burst or goes down, he's one of the worst heroes to lose immediately, because you either win big with McCree generally or you lose big. And if you can dive McCree and take him down early in a fight, the odds that your team is able to bring that back is worse than if you had lost any other hero in the game, basically. So there's a lot to be said for McCree being high risk, high reward, and hydration gonna fall first here in this push.
Yeah, he was trying to play the flank there as well. He does get caught off by Shadow, manages to close in on him with the Swift Strike, so this is going to slow things up a little bit here for CLG. Hydration switching off the Tracer on towards the Roadhog here as well. You see how important that first pick is to attacking teams on Kings Row, just to even the odds and also deal with enemy Tracers. They've got a lot to deal with flankers now.
And CLG right now just taking it slow, looking for pickoffs, really giving Waffle room to work behind the tanks. But Liquid is okay with this. So long as CLG is dancing around looking for positioning, Liquid is getting more time off. The clock is shattered. Just assassinate Shake back here in the hotel. Both supports are down. That is a surefire way to kill a push.
Yeah, look, I don't really rate that at all from CLG. They go in and they go up the stairs on the right side of the point, right? Now, Shake can't see them. He has no line of sight, so he tries to go into the hotel so he can drop out of the window and not get killed. And then Mikado tries to go back to speed him up to get him back with the rest of the team. And then Shadow just goes, well, I'm just going to kill both you guys. Are you mad?
well, they might have been mad, but perhaps more at their own team for that initiation strategy, as this has been really good for Liquid, where I kind of feel like CLG has been fighting themselves and how they've been trying to approach this. Liquid has been adapting to it pretty well, but it feels like CLG doesn't have the best initiation strategy with how they've been going about this. And even right now, they're holding this really far back. They're getting into really tight quarters, and Shadow right now licking his chops because this could be a great Dragon Blade opportunity if he's able to play this right.
It's all one by one, single file. Shadow's going to go in with the Dragon Blade. He's looking for Shake first. He's actually going to find if it's AZK to actually connect with him. Then he comes back. He sees Waffle-tastic. No flashbang there. Hydration's the only man that's able to get a kill so far in this fight for CLG, and he's had to drop across the gap, and now he's got to be on his own and taken down. This is sloppy stuff on the attack from CLG. They just can't even set up. Liquid seem to hit them before they can set their feet.
It also took them a long time to set up there. They were waiting in the hotel for about 5 seconds going, are we all here? Are we all here? Ready, check. Then they go in, and they didn't really pay much mind to all the ultimates that Team Liquid had stocked there. And by the way, Uber, this was CLG's map choice, so CLG's attack here has been perplexing as they all go through the mini hotel to the left. A reflected flashbang hurts them to start things out, but they commit with the sound barrier to try and roll this right through.
Oh, it's a Deadeye kill in 2017. Waffles into the back corner there with the sound barrier, finds ID, and Shiny on towards Rapper. This is a little bit better from CLG. Waffles staying very close to the hallway just to make sure anyone who comes through may be able to get flash. But AZK is going to be pretty much on his own now. Meza, again, not very strong against the McCree, gets cut down by Waffle-tastic, and AZK finds Shake.
Well, this time around, CLG able to get through on the first point. So much time was burned off by Liquid, though, where if they can give any form of resistance here in second, if they can win 2 to 3 fights, they're going to be in a great position to take the whole thing. And you take a look at the game position right now, where they have 4 ultimates at the ready, soon to be 5. Liquid should have the resources to win this next fight and perhaps one after. However, if CLG is able to take this, but with some mix of Roadhog and McCree burst, it would be a huge swing.
Okay, ultimate-wise, Liquid have plenty of them here. This could be tough for CLG. It's going to slow them down. Dragon Blade comes in. The flash was there on Shatter, but he's still able to stay alive. The pulse bomb for AZK followed up by the D-suit and kill on Misu was going to make this pretty much done and dusted. He chases after Waffle, knows his flash wasn't there, and finishes him off.
And here's the really good thing about that is that while that was explosive coming in with the flanker ultimates, they still have a 76 ultimate and bow support ults, which are really vital for holding ground and buying time here on the defense. So Liquid can very easily burn another minute off this clock with what they have right now.
2 minutes 10. That's the timer here for CLG. They lost a lot of time to start with, but they only really set up because they had a lot of ultimates in that last team fight that worked out. So we'll see if they can continue though. AZK shut down very early. Nice job by Shiny to find him.
They lose AZK immediately. Miso explodes literally into the backline. 3 kills coming in from CLG, and that is a disaster for Team Liquid. They invested both Tac Visor and Sound Barrier into that and got nothing. They simply got exploded. And now CLG, that was the break they needed to turn this match right around.
Yeah, look, if a team's already dived in and you use it as like a counter dive of your own, it's just filthy. Just throw an ult out when the Winston jumps in. He can't bubble his backline because he bubbles himself when he lands in your team.
Deadeye coming out here from Waffle-tastic, zoning out Team Liquid, limiting their ability to come back in. Dang has to blow the Transcend to get back onto the point, and here comes Team Liquid once more, diving in with the Transcend. No pickoffs, and actually rather low. It's gonna be up to Shatter. The Dragon Blade is out, gets one, looking for more, but the Transcendent's gonna limit his effectiveness towards the end. 5 versus 5 here, as CLG now breaks it wide open off of the tank play.
I'm not really sure who Liquid were really trying to dive on there. They struggled to find other support. Waffle-tastic had a lot of room. Again, he was able to do a lot of damage. It just wasn't very successful in terms of their target calling. A little bit all over the place, of course, with the healing there. And Mikado's sound barrier made it a lot harder, but now the yellow square victory is close. CLG on the cusp was taking this one away.
CLG one fight away from knocking Liquid to the lower bracket. Liquid cannot falter now, but what an Earthshire from iShiny. That could have been the death knell as CLG takes the fight with style. To Hang, the only one left. He's going to fall, and CLG has booked their berth to the upper bracket final.
Very nicely played for them. It was a slow start, but they had a lot of time to work with. They didn't even have to finish the map, and then that Diva self-destruct really set them up there. That got them off and sailing, racing through the streets phase for a nice finish and a series win. I'm very impressed.